Okay, this is going to be a short video on how you can use Facebook to drive more traffic to your website and get more conversions. I've been doing this for a couple years now with my sites and client sites, and I'm really amazed more people aren't doing this. I think there's a common misconception that you're not allowed to promote any kind of real money gaming, whether it's poker, casino, bingo, sportsbook on Facebook. But that's simply not true, and we'll get into more of that in a second. I want to thank MJ for suggesting this topic and Pass for letting me do these videos. We're actually going to use one of the past promotions for affiliates as our demo, and I'm going to show you a quick demo on how you can use your page, how to set it up, and give you some of the ins and outs of it. And of course, if you have any questions once this is over, please post them, and I'll try and answer everything for you. Alright, so let's get started. We're going to use the Poker Affiliate Listings Community Facebook page. And so basically you have a lot of options here. I'm sure you guys all have Facebook pages. They come with a number of publishing tools. You can boost posts. You can actually go and promote your website, promote your page. And this kind of all ties together. Now we're not talking about using the Facebook ad system, which is just blanket ads. You don't even have to have a page really to use those. But in this case, we're going to try and promote either this specific Facebook page to get more people to like your page. And when they like your page, when you post something, generally it'll show up in their news feed. And that just helps you reach more people. But using the boosted post and the promoted post, you can actually not just reach people that like your page or that you're associated with. You can also target those people's friends, and you can target people that have nothing to do with your site, but generally are interested in those types of things. So let me just show you how that works, and I think it'll all make more sense once I'm showing you. So we're going to put up a demo post. So we'll put this up, double your casino commissions for the next 2 months with Pass. And you can see I use some hashtags. Facebook adopted the whole hashtag thing, I guess, last year or so. And people actually, they search those keywords. Those keywords come up in trends. So I always recommend you come up with a couple hashtags, especially anytime you're doing this. Just give you that much, extra of a reach. You can see we included a link to the promotion, and it auto pulled the image. And so for something like this, say we wanted to boost the post and market this to people that don't just like this page, kind of marketing to those same people. There's some benefit to that. But anytime you're really wanting to put money behind it or coming up with a new promo, I'm sure you want to reach more people. So that's kind of our goal. So in this case, we're going to run this promotion, and we want to make sure we get some new eyes on the website, on the Facebook page. So we're going to say boost this post, and that's going to bring up your window where you get a bunch of options to actually target. So you can see your audience over here, people who like your page. That's people who's already liked your page. They're going to see that anyway. Now that doesn't mean 100% of them are going to see it. Facebook uses an algorithm to determine who's more likely to engage that post and things of that nature. But that's not really the people we want to go after. We want to go at perhaps new affiliates or new people that we want to reach. You notice another option is people who like your page and their friends. So that gives you a little more reach. That's people that's already liked your page, but it's also going to be those people's perhaps best friends or family, things, people they're friends with on Facebook. So that's a good option in some instances. And then you can go ahead and do custom targeting, and that's what we're going to go ahead and check out today. People you choose through targeting. Now, by default, you're set to an audience. So basically, you have a default audience, which is targeting just the general people that already liked your page, targeting the geolocation you're at. So in my case, the United States, ages 18 to 65. But let's just, for fun here, let's create a new audience and show you some of the options. So basically, you can name this audience. We'll just name it Demo. And for country, like I said, it's going to auto target the country you're in. You can remove that, and it'll target pretty much all countries. But I wouldn't recommend you do that in most cases. We're, at least for gaming and for affiliates, we want to target the United States, North America, probably the European Union, UK area, things like that. So, you can always go in, say, United States and add, United Kingdom, for example. So we'll just use that as an example. Generally, I'm not sure the laws in every country, but you can always kind of feel safe. 21 and over, it's usually pretty good for most countries. I think Sweden might be 22, and Facebook actually lists the different age restrictions if you look at their guidelines and stuff. So we'll just say, for the sake of fun, 21 to 65. 65 might be a little older. I'm sure you guys know your target demographics better than I do. For poker, you're usually after the 18 to mid 30s, mid 40s. For bingo, I would expect that to skew a little older, but you guys probably know that better than me. So we'll just say 21 to 65, but you can change that all, or segment men or women. And here's where it gets interesting, and you can actually drill down and target a little better their interests. So you can target people that have liked other pages. So in our case, it might be poker. We'll put poker in there, and you can see online poker comes up, Zynga, poker tournaments, World Series of Poker. Now, in general, that's going to target people who have shared posts related to these subjects or liked other pages of these subjects. So we'll just say online poker. And you can see it also gives suggestions down here once you pick one. So we might say online casino, online gambling, and you can see even full tilt poker shows up down here. So we'll say sports betting too. And of course, for this specific promotion for past, we might have been better off going for affiliates. So we'll type in some affiliates. You get network affiliates, and it gives you different things. But you kind of get the idea. You can actually target specific keywords. And what the Facebook, engine does is they'll target people with those kind of interests. And so once you figure that out, you're pretty much set. Setting all this stuff is basically you're setting up a new audience. So the next time you want to do this, depending on how the ad runs, and of course, you always want to split test things like this and do trial runs. But you can, go and tweak that audience or create a brand new one. So we'll save it in this case. And then we have the option to set a budget. Right now, a $5 budget is going to get us a reach of 2,000 to 5,200 people. Excuse me. And that's not bad. Again, it depends on your budget. If you're just split testing, I would recommend starting out with something like, and if you click on it here, you get to, they have different suggestions. You can kind of get an idea what your spend is going to get you. So $60 is going to get you roughly 14,000 to 36,000 people. And in general, as long as your target audience is set in a good spot, you'll get somewhere probably less than 20K. Usually doesn't hit the high end. I'm not sure the explanation for that. Again, it's estimated reach, so it's going to be people that like those target terms and things like that. So if you're doing your own, split test, maybe we just want to do $25 worth. So we'll put in 25 there, and that gives us an estimated reach of, between 10 and 26,000 essentially. So basically, that's going to be your boosted post. That's where it's going to show up. Now, a few things about the boosted post. When they started the Google, or the Facebook ad platform years ago, I was testing it out. I was trying the boost post, and I was actually running, ads on Facebook. I got to get in touch with a Facebook account manager, and she took me through a lot of the ad system and the promoted post system. I'm going to do another video where we go through the ad system and some different ads I've set up, and how all that works if you use the power editor that they provide or just the straight back end. But in this post, we'll just go ahead and focus on the boost post feature, because I think that's a good one to start out with. But essentially, as I said to begin with, a lot of people seem to think that you're not allowed to post anything gambling related, poker related, any of that stuff on Facebook, and that's simply not true. The beauty of the boost post especially is after you go ahead and boost your post, it'll show for roughly 20 to 30 minutes, and it'll be reviewed, and it'll either be approved or rejected, and they'll generally tell you why. And what I found the most common reason for a boosted post or even an ad being rejected is the 20% text image rule. And again, this is something you can find in their guidelines, but basically, if you want to have an image on your boosted post, that image can't have more than 20% text on the image. So, and it's kind of hard to tell sometimes. I'm not sure exactly how they measure that. I'm sure you guys are smarter than me and can figure that out. But generally, they don't want, a big meme or a big banner up there. If you're going to post an image, it needs to be something, kind of benign, just kind of a bland image, but definitely associated with whatever your subject is. But that's one of the most common reasons. The other thing to keep in mind is, especially for poker and casino, again, you can there's no guideline against doing that. In some cases, you do need to get written permission, which is basically just contacting them or setting an ad up, and they'll basically review it and message you if there's an issue and explain what the issue is. So they're not going to completely ban your account all of a sudden or anything kind of heavy handed like that. But you do need to be careful how you write your post. If they see kind of a, all bold letters, spammy looking post that you're trying to promote or an ad, they're usually going to reject those right off. It needs to be something a little more nuanced, I would say. So you saw what we wrote in our case. It was pretty straightforward. Tells exactly what the issue is. Doesn't promise get rich quick kind of stuff, which is expressly against their terms and conditions. It's just basically stating, the facts. Double your casino commissions, for the next 2 months. The link to the specifics in the article. So it's pretty straightforward. There's no, $1,000 free now, or anything that can be taken as misleading or spammy. So just keep that in mind when you're putting your post together, and it's kind of trial and error. And I still sometimes get boosted posts that are sent back, usually, like I said, for the 20% image issue. But sometimes they just want you to reword it. They'll also reject it for bad grammar, which is something I haven't had a ton of problems with, only because I get a little red squiggly line if I misspell something. But if it just looks spammy, looks like something that doesn't belong, they'll usually kick it back with a little message saying here's why. And if you plan on getting deep into this, you'll get contact information. And if you look on your Facebook now, if you're doing pages or any kind of ads, you have a Facebook ad manager, an affiliate manager, essentially, is a way to think of it. And you can discuss different options with them, and they're really good about helping you. This makes them money. It can help your website, getting your Facebook page, your website, more people to it. That's just good for everybody. You spend more money promoting stuff, they make more money by allowing you to do it. So it's a two-way street there. Just like anything, they want to make money, but they don't want to see a bunch of spammy stuff showing up in their, in people's news feeds, because people will complain about that, and that'll be an issue. So basically, I hope that kind of makes sense. Again, I'll be open for any questions. It's really straightforward. Just keep in mind how you word things. Make sure you have a good image in there. The image that's actually displaying now, I'm kind of curious if they would actually kick that back or not. They may not. Again, I don't know how to tell 20%. It seems a little goofy to me sometimes, but I understand the reason behind it. But I would just suggest that everybody just test this out. Spend $5. Find a good article you have on your website. Make sure there's a good call to action to whatever you link to. Make sure that the post doesn't appear spammy or, get rich quick or just flat out, silly sounding. And give it a try. And I think you'll find that you get some good results, especially if you're targeting people that aren't already fans of your pages, and you kind of branch out. You'll see more likes, you'll see more engagement, and it just takes some trial and error. I'm not going to pretend I'm an expert at it. I've used it for a long time. I've seen some great results, but it's one of those things that you kind of have to try out, and just like anything, there's a bit of a learning curve, but it can be done. And I think that's a big takeaway out of this. I talked to a lot of people on the PAL forums and hit me up via PM and Skype, and they just didn't think it was even allowed. And if you read the guidelines, you'll see that there's no, they do mention gambling, and it says in some cases you'll need written permission, and it says that for almost everything. So again, give it a try. Let me know if you have any questions. Big thanks again for MJ suggesting this, and thanks again for Pass. If you guys haven't used Pass, I know some people go direct and use Pass, and some people have no idea what Pass is. They have some great promotions. They have some good deals. If you're a newer affiliate, they're great to work with because you can get really high percentages and high CPAs. This casino promotion is one I'm taking advantage of. I like doing casino stuff, and for the next 2 months, I can get double my commissions. So that's a good deal for me. If you have any questions about them, hit Tori up in the forums. Hit me up. I can answer some questions. So let me know if you guys have any questions, and I'll be happy to try and answer them. Thanks again for watching this, and give me some ideas for the next video. I've got some member questions I'm going to be knocking out in the next video. I love getting those, and I appreciate everybody sending me those. So if you guys need anything, just give me a shout. Thanks a bunch.